My fat Barbie.
Hey everybody, it's Billy the Fat Barbie, and I'm coming to you in my kitchen eating dinner. So tonight I am having some steak. I've already cut it up, and we're having some potatoes with some jalapeno peppers. Y'all know I like peppers, and we have some Fiesta cheese. And tonight we are not doing a mukbang; it's just a regular dinner service here. And I thought I'd bring you something a little special. We're gonna have a story time. So we're going to go back 10 years ago when I was fresh out of high school, starting college, and finding my way, honey. And let me tell you, this story is not for the faint of heart. This is a darkly funny story. Some of you will find this to be a little, just like I do now, 10 years later. Some of you will be like, oh, I can't believe she went through that. But at the end of the day, here we are now. So let's get into it. So the story actually starts late 2011, early 2012. So I was in college. And, like most kids, I skipped a few classes here and there. Me and my friends, we was bad, honey. We was bad. So I was skipping a few classes, and I liked animals. That was still a very childlike thing about me. I loved animals. I would go to this pet shop that was a couple miles from my school. And I'd been going to this pet shop since I was a kid, right? So I go into this pet shop one day, hadn't been in there in years, and there's this guy. I had remembered him from when I was a kid, coming in there buying hamsters and goldfish and stuff, and having a small conversation with this person as a child. And I remember they would ask me, well, why do you like buying these goldfish? Or why do you like, because I really liked the fancy goldfish. I really loved like the exotic ones. And I had a tank at home with them. RIP to all of those goldies because they no longer live in, obviously. But anyway, there's this guy there. And I remembered him from when I was like 12 or 13, coming in there with my mom, buying the hamsters and the goldfish and stuff. And the guy used to have really long hair. By then, he had cut the hair was short and everything. And I don't know, I had always thought, he's sort of cute. But, before I was a kid, I was too young, obviously. Now I'm like 18 and, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So I meet we start talking a little bit, and, I take a liking to him. And I start going to this pet shop often, in between classes, skipping classes sometimes, and just going around him. He seemed really cool. He had a truck. I really liked his truck. He also had a Lincoln Navigator, and I enjoyed riding in that here and there. Well, we started hanging out, exchanged numbers, talking, and just getting to know each other. Well, did I know that was going to take me on a year-long, I don't even know what to call it. It was a journey, definitely that. And it wasn't a good ending, but we'll get to that. So, we start hanging out, and things start to escalate. We start, talking about other things. And I remember he took me to his dad's house. I can't remember how long we'd been hanging out at that point. He took me to his dad's house. I remember I stood out in the yard, and he was like, come on, let's go inside. And I just looked. Something, the spidey sense is going off. His parents aren't home. Mind you, this guy he was like 23 at the time, and I was 18. There's nobody here. It's just us. I was a virgin at the time, y'all. A virgin. Had been nowhere. Against my better judgment, I was like, we've been hanging out. I trust him. I go in the house. First mechanism of defense. I sit across the room from him, right? He sits across the room from me. He's smiling. Next thing you know, he comes and sits on the arm of my chair. And, well, one thing led to another, and I was deflowered. So, that's just a regular little story, whatever. But here's the thing about that, y'all. There was a dark side to this person. I would later learn and this is not the dark part, that comes a little later. The guy's dad was deaf. I was like, okay, well, I was thinking maybe I'll meet his dad eventually. No, I could never meet his dad. His dad was racist and did not like African American people. Mind you, this person was a mixed person. I won't go into what he was mixed with, just to disclose some privacy here. But he was a mixed person, and well, they were not Caucasian. I'll say that they were not Caucasian, but he explained to me that his father did not like black people, was very disgusted by black people, and he actually at some point, I can't even remember when this was, disclosed to me that he enjoyed having me there because he had some deep-rooted issues with his dad. He enjoyed having me there because it was a way of sort of like getting back at his dad. And, like I said, I was young and dumb, and I look back on stuff like that now, like, I can't believe I let someone say something like that to me. But he did. Anyway, that should have been like one of the major red flags there. Also, aside from that, he lived with a friend. And this friend that he lived with, was very strangely protective. Like, it was a female friend, and she always wanted to know where he was and was mad if he came home late. And I'm going to tell you right now, in my current state, in my current life, I believe he was busting her down on the low and I didn't know it, which, there's a lot of things I'm sure I didn't know. But, she was just very weird. And she comes in the story later, honey. Ooh, child. So, yeah, this friend, she didn't like him being out late. Every time he was out, it was an argument. Just weird shit going on. And like, he would take me up on the mountains. We'd drive up on this area this place in my area called the Brushies, up in the mountains in his truck. And sometimes he would bring his other car, his bigger car, his Lincoln. And me and my friends would ride with him. So, it wasn't all bad, but there was definitely some things that were not unsettling. We'll say that. So there was that, the racist dad, the friend that was strangely, weirdly attached to him, and they argued, and she always wanted to know where he was. Like, she was a girlfriend, but she was like in her like 40s or early 50s, something like that. In her 40s, 50s, something like that. But, okay, I ended up getting to meet his mom and his sister. And I thought, okay, this is a step in the right direction. We're doing something here. They looked at me and thought I was just his friend. And not only did just his mother and his sister think I was just his friend, so did the friend he lived with. And she'd actually made comments that shit was sad because I'd been around her. She thought it was sad that she knew that I really, really cared for him and that the feelings weren't the same. So she thought. The things we put up with. At some point in this relationship, or I won't even say relationship because, there was nothing really official about it. I'm not in denial about that. And that's something I'm very honest about. It was that thing that we as women get caught in because we know there's more feelings, but there's no official title on things. Well, it didn't come to me then that he didn't want anyone to know that I was his secret. I was that person that he had, that everyone viewed me as just a friend, and it was so much more. But things, like I said, they took a dark turn. Like, this person was very obsessed with me possibly getting pregnant and scared of that. They'd want me to take pregnancy tests every 2 weeks. Like, they were dealing with some stuff internally. And, when you're dealing with somebody who's really paranoid and just not okay, especially at a very young, fragile age like that, it will make you begin to think that you're not okay. I got really paranoid. I started worrying about his well-being more so than my own. I'm all the time worried that, I'm pregnant or something, because he'd made it quite clear if something happens, he would not want me to keep the baby. Bad situation. Things sort of came to an abrupt end. There was the friend that he lived with that I was talking about. So She called me one day, screaming, y'all, screaming. Because she found out that while she had been gone some days, that we'd been in her house. And she had found out that we had been on, we did the do on her couch and some other rooms in the home as well. She's having a full-on panic attack. I'm trying to figure out I don't know what to say to this lady. She's like I said, I think something was going on between them because she was just too upset. And it was beyond like, oh, I'm just an adult figure that's mad that you've been having sex in my home. It was some weird shit. So there was that. And then I don't know what he told her to calm her down, but we started talking less and less. And then I think I started to realize how dysfunctional that was towards the end. And I just sort of started to speak to him less. And, I was young and wild, meeting other people, getting to know other people. And eventually I remember we met at a store and we just had an all-out argument. And that was the end of it. And I will say that person was my first love. He was someone that I really, really, truly cared about. I gave my virginity to him, and he was a special person in my life. As fucked up as the situation was, I do look back on it and can say that I grew from that. But I do realize now at my current state of life that what I went through with that person, him hiding me being with us, hanging out and being around each other all the time, but everybody he knew in his circle in his life did not know who I was to him. That did something to me. And I had to come to terms with the fact I was his secret. I was the living, breathing secret that he was running around with. And that was not a good thing. When you're in love, you do some stupid things. Like I said, he had worked at a pet shop, right? We'd be in the pet shop. In between customers coming in, we would get down. And I've not even ate the whole video yet. I was just so deep into the story. I have not even ate anything. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I just really got deep into telling y'all that because I just went back there. I've thought about it, of course, but I've not really thought about it in a long time. I've not really thought in depth about that situation. And like I was saying, when you're young, you do stupid things. And especially young, new love you've never felt before. He had a lot of issues. There was some issues with him where I was concerned about his safety in regards to himself. It just was too much for an 18-year-old girl to deal with. And I know now, as much as I wanted to help him, I couldn't help him. So we went our separate ways. Even though some of y'all hearing this story are probably thinking, why was it hard for her to get away from him? Why was it hard to leave him? Why was it hard for her to leave him alone? Because I spent a year with him. I had never spent that much time with anyone. I spent a year hanging out with this person every day, talking to them every day, texting them every day. Like I said, this was the first person I had ever slept with, and things weren't always good, but. And you know what the really crazy thing about it is? I know deep down he did really care about me. I just don't think I think he was still very immature at the time. I know I was. We was doing some dumb shit. But I also know that needed to end. There was too many hiccups with that. It was never going to work out. I remember one of the last things he ever said to me in person when I seen him, because he did reach out to me a little bit later, after we stopped talking to one another. And I know I will say, I feel like he did this to hurt me specifically. He was like, we were going to go away together. I just didn't want to say all that kind of stuff because in case it didn't work out, it would hurt you more. Everything I'd ever wanted to hear from him, he said in that moment. And I knew in that moment he did this to basically make me feel like I blew it. Because I'm telling him that I just can no longer fathom going through this kind of mess with him anymore. And I realized that, wow, he was doing that to hurt me, to try to make me, regret my decision on, moving on. And he would reach out to me again. By this time I was pregnant when I spoke to him again. He was upset about it. He was like, oh, I didn't think you wanted any kids. Da 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 da. And, I was like 6 months pregnant at the time with my son. So I told him, I'm having my baby. This is what I want to do. Why are you concerning yourself with it? I mean, I don't care what you think. Like, he even did some digging on my son's dad and everything. For a long time after that, I had friends that would tell me that, oh, well, he came into he'd come into my old job and would talk to some of my friends, from what I was told, and ask about me, was sad about me for a while. So I do know that there were some feelings there. But you know what, at the end of the day, it was a dysfunctional situation that needed to end, and it did. And, some of you are going to watch this and be like, I can't believe she tells something like this on a video. I'm very transparent. Okay, so that was 10 years ago. I've grown up a lot from then. And I can honestly say, I hope that person has really worked through the things that they worked through. I hope whoever they deal with now in life, they can have them on Front Street. Let, people know proudly who they're with or who they deal with. Because I look back at it and like I said, I wish I could go back and give myself a hug. I didn't deserve that. But, when you're young, dumb, and in love, you put up with some things. Y'all, I know I barely touched this food. I got into that story because, like I said, I went down memory lane with y'all. Yeah. Moral of the story is, I'm a better woman today. And the woman I am today, I realized that was dysfunctional. I realized that wasn't good. I realized that wasn't right for me. I'm not going to say that, I've got it all figured out, because I obviously don't. I'm still young. But that I'll call it what I feel like. That relationship taught me a lot. It taught me that, a person can tell you that they love you, but at the end of the day, if they're not ready for what you're ready for, they're going to handle you accordingly. And he definitely handled me accordingly. I hope you guys have enjoyed this story time and this time lapse going back in time in my life. There's going to be more videos like this. There's going to be more videos where we sit down and we barely eat the meal we cooked. And we just, get into some things. Stay tuned with the van. She's coming. The transmission repair has started. The old transmission comes out very soon. She's all to pieces right now. My dad has been taking things off of her and been working on her pretty hard. So we're going to be back in her very soon and going to be riding around and getting it. I can't wait. But I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. I hope you guys, feel a little more closer to me now, that you know some things about me. Some deep things that I haven't talked about in a long time. Definitely wouldn't have ever talked about this publicly, but, I'm in a different place in my life, and I'm speaking about these things that were not spoken about for so long. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, rate, all that. Share to a friend. Somebody that you think it might help. Somebody that you might want to have, oh, she just told her tea. All that, I'm with it. I'm an open book, baby. But I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.